The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Elias Pettersson. I'm not going to front. This is what he gets for going on a boat with Elliotte Friedman, okay? I thought Elliotte Friedman was supposed to have his back, okay? Think about that. Do you think Elias Pettersson would ever do another Elliotte Friedman interview again? I don't think so. Anyways, let's talk about some more questions surrounding Elias Pettersson, and maybe we'll ask 40 on this episode of Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay. We back on this conversation regarding your Vancouver Canucks on this show called Locked On Canucks, produced here at the Don't Doze Art Lab. My name is Kyle Bowen. That right there is Trevor Beggs. And this episode, man, it's brought to you by Who's Sleeper? Trevor, tell us about Sleeper.
All right, Sleeper, you got to go download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details.
On today's episode, we'll be talking a lot about Elias Pettersson. I think Trevor and I made up some questions regarding Elias Pettersson. Hey, some questions we'd ask him if we had him on this very same podcast. If you have any questions for Elias Pettersson, let us know in the comments below. You never know. Maybe that Pettersson interview is coming on Locked On Canucks tomorrow or in 7 years. You never know, man. Things happen quick. I also want to talk to Trevor more and more about that game regarding the Boston Bruins and just more stuff going into the trade deadline, okay? It's happening. It's around the corner, and your Canucks are definitely the most entertaining team in hockey. Straight up. Now, Beggsy, first off, how you doing? You looking good. I know you're sounding a little different today, okay? Don't got the microphone with you, but you're here being tough. I like it.
Yeah, what can I say? You know, barely sleeping, so some things are slipping through the cracks, including me remembering to bring my mic to my office today. So, hey, apologies on that. I was told that my voice is overrated anyways, though, so it's all good.
Ooh, think about the people, man. They got to listen to my voice, and then they got to listen to your webcam audio today. Hey, man, it is what it is. You got to roll with the punches. And even through injuries, sometimes teams still win. And I think today is going to be a winning episode. Hey, speaking of winning, I told you guys yesterday, right? We're giving away tickets to a game. That game is at the end of March. I think it's March 25th. The LA Kings, they're in town. You want to enter that contest to win those tickets? You got to be subscribed to the show. And you also got to be subscribed to my Discord. Okay, I'll put the link to that in the bio below. Again, if you want to qualify for this contest, we'll probably reveal the winner maybe around the 18th to 19th. I haven't looked at the calendar, but again, if you want to be in the draw, you got to subscribe to the channel and you got to subscribe to my Discord where we can talk a lot about the Vancouver Canucks over there. Let's build that community and let's send some people to a Canucks game. I got 2 tickets, okay? For the people. Hey, maybe, just maybe, like there's a 0.6% chance, according to some people, that Patterson won't be playing that game for the Vancouver Canucks. Elliotte Friedman, man, this guy's nuts, bro. This guy's nuts. I know other teams have to do their job, right? I think I heard him talking about this on Donnie O'Daly, right? Back in the day when Joe Thornton got traded out of nowhere, a lot of other owners across the league were pissed off that their GMs didn't know that Joe Thornton was on the block, right? Hence why some teams nowadays are asking the Canucks if Patterson is available. Anywho, Beggsy, when you heard Elliotte Friedman talking about all this, how'd you feel, man?
Well, I think it's been a whirlwind few days, right? Obviously, we touched on it briefly last week. Reports from the fourth period of that this guy had a $12 million per year offer on the table, max term, so 8 years, $96 million, $12 million per year on the table, and he has not signed yet. But again, Elliotte Friedman, I throw fuel to the fire a bit, not to the extent as the fourth period, but I'm so curious where this is going to go with Pettersson. And I have basically every time I talk to a casual fan, I'm asked about it. I still think he's going to sign, but I think that's more murky than ever. And I hate the idea of just Elias Lindholm being being a plan B in case Patterson doesn't resign. But I think there are a lot of questions here. And, one of my questions is, does Pettersson, can he play in a pressure cooker market for the rest of his career? I think that's maybe question number one.
What the hell? Why is that a question? Why is that a question? You're doubting this guy. This guy's got it, man. He's a mother effer. He's a baller. He can do it. He's been playing in a pressure cooker market for a long time already. He's been proving it. But I guess you're asking, like, if he wants to continue doing that. which there is.
Yeah.
Like in all fairness, that's the actual fair question. Because it's different out here.
Well, I think another Swedish guy, OEL, he's looked a lot better in markets that weren't Vancouver right now. He wasn't great in Arizona before he got here, so that's a bit different as well. But I guess the other question is, how much does he love the city of Vancouver? Because I think we know the answer is yes. And Vancouver, in my eyes, and maybe we're a bit biased, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Does Patterson really, truly love being in Vancouver enough to want to stay here long term?
He does, man. He does. Okay. Straight up. I just definitely think that all this noise, the lack of signing, it's all, what's the word? It's all warranted. It really is based on the past history of the Vancouver Canucks, especially in recent history, involving a lot of teams that Pettersson played on. This team has been chaotic. It's been disruptive. So he, well, how old is this guy? 25 years old. This guy's been playing his whole life. He's been playing in pro leagues for a long time too. He's earned the right to be patient and ultimately see this thing true. And I think that, like, well, one thing that I keep going back to, and maybe the fans can say the same thing, is Pettersson not fulfilling his quota with experiencing what it's like to be a Vancouver Canuck yet, because he hasn't played a playoff game here. And it's going to be different. I've been saying this week in and week out. I think that it's going to be easier for him to sign with the Vancouver Canucks after he hears the crowd at Rogers Arena during a playoff game. Like, he hasn't experienced that yet. That's a huge motivation right there. It's a different sound. As a pro athlete, as a baller like Pettersson, as a guy who really wants it, you want that crowd behind you. You want to hear it. You want the goosebumps instilled by, again, the fans and the noise. And you can't get that noise in a lot of other places, which leads me to my next question. Like, yo, if Pettersson wants to not sign long-term with Vancouver, like, bro, do you know that you may get traded to a team that's nowhere close to where Vancouver may be when it comes to their trajectory / even the leadership and the personnel that is now in tune with the Vancouver Canucks? Like, it may not get better than this.
Yeah, and that's why I've kind of said, time and time again throughout this year that I do believe Patterson is going to re-sign. Now, at the end of the day, the fact that he hasn't signed is, having us ask these questions, right? But you look at the Canucks right now; they're the best team in the league, and a lot of it is because Patterson is playing great hockey. Yeah, maybe not over the past couple of weeks, but on the season, come on, he's on pace for another 100-point season. Again, he beat this first Swedish player in NHL history to do that. Like, that is unbelievable stuff. These guys don't grow on trees, to throw the old cliche. So I do believe he's going to resign, but it's still a question, right? It's still a question. And yeah, I guess the other question is, if the Canucks know that he wants out, does he get traded before the deadline? I mean, I don't see it happening either.
Okay, that is some who is talking about that? Who is believing in that? I can't believe you even put that on air. I'm pissed off at you right now. Bro, that's not going to happen. The same team has traded all these picks. They're bought into this season. They're having an elite JT Miller season as well. He's one of the best 10 players in hockey right now. You got to lean into that. There's no way that this team is trading an RFA because he has no more years left on his contract. Dude, come on. The value is still going to be there for Pettersson if they have to trade him in the offseason. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. We all saw what happened with Tkachuk. It's all good. It's all good. There's none of that BS, okay? I just seen a comment, too. I hope this is not the truth, okay? Mr. Whale saying that the hockey guy is saying we need to trade Petey by the deadline. And does this have something to do with, this comment right here by Richard? You never want to keep an unhappy player. I don't know if Pettersson's not happy. Like, I think he's good. Team's winning. He's a baller. He can get a lot better, too. He knows that the potential for this team, again, can equate to some hockey in June. And I'm also guaranteeing that he's itching to play in front of Rogers Arena with the crowd being like that. Like, there's no way that this guy is A, leaving at the deadline, / B, again, I feel like he's happy, man. I don't know if he's happy about all the noise, but come on, Patterson. Honestly speaking, bro, all the media, all the fan hoo-hop, like, what, everyone always complains about that BS. Oh, this is such a negative market. This is why players want to sign here and blah, blah, blah. Look at this. Or this is the first place team. And you guys are talking about Patterson. Bro, come on, man. This is your fault, dude. You sat on a boat with Elliotte Friedman, and Elliotte Friedman, quote unquote, is stabbing you in the back, bro. This guy is not protecting your peace. He's doing his job. But that boat ride, definitely, it wasn't a bromance thing. That was all business. And Pettersson, if he doesn't have that boat interview with Friedman, I guarantee there's still some noise. For sure, there's still some noise, but he did that stunt, and he said the thing, right? He said, I don't want to sign to the end of the season. So it just adds to the pot, I don't like the whole narrative surrounding Vancouver, and I've been pretty harsh on Vancouver media and some of the fans this whole season, right, in regards to this stuff. But this is not their fault. It's just facts, man. Like you're one of the best players in hockey. We saw what happened with Matthew Tkachuk a couple years ago. You already went on that boat ride. You add all those things up, and you have Friedman continuing to open his mouth about the situation on Saturday nights. This is going to happen.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, Freeman doesn't have to comment every time a report comes from the fourth period, right? But he chose to say that teams are calling on Elias Pettersson, right? Which, again, that's one of those reports that like doesn't really even need to be thrown out there. Like, yeah, obviously if he's not resigned, teams should be calling on him, right? They got to figure out what's going on. But again, I said time and time again, I don't want Petey to leave. I don't think he's going to leave. I think he's going to sign some big mega deal to stay with Vancouver for the rest of his career. And let's embrace him for it. I know not all fans will, but guess what? Not all fans embrace JT Miller. In fact, most fans of this market wanted JT Miller gone. And here he is, performing like one of the MVPs of the NHL, arguably the MVP of this hockey team. And Kyle, we saw JT Miller at his finest on Saturday night, man. And again, think about that. 12 months ago, they're still talking about this guy potentially being moved at the deadline, even under this regime. And here he is again on Saturday against Boston, but just like an all-time performance, man. The guy was just a baller.
And bro, I'm glad you brought up JT because I got to ask this question. And I want the fans to chime in, okay? Whether it be in the comments or in the Discord, okay? Link in bio. Think about this. Let's say JT Miller, and this is a big possibility because, again, I think Patterson's a baller. I don't think this guy's a greedy guy. I don't think it's about the dollars. I think he's already been offered the dollars. I think he just wants to see this whole thing through, Like, what is this season? It's only been one season, bro. It's one season. It's not even March yet. Like, a guy like Patterson, an alpha like that, you think he's convinced for what this team is in March after year after year after year failure? No way. No way. He knows that this is not real. Yo, you and I know this is not real. This is nothing yet. It's nothing yet. So much more to prove for the Vancouver Canucks. This all being said, let's say JT Miller finishes the season with 10 to 15 more points. He's already up by like 5 points now. Let's say it's like 10 to 15. Like, he finishes the season with 10 more points than Elias Pettersson. The Canucks go far in the playoffs. You can make the argument that, JT Miller was the most consistent forward all season. He's been that way this season already, right? Do you think that will help Pettersson take a discount? I'm not talking about him making less than JT Miller, but all in all, like, JT Miller's success this season, I think, may have something to do with Pettersson's next deal. It really may have something to do with it, for real, because he's doing so good. He's at 31 years old. You kind of want to have everyone on board to take a little bit less, with him being a part of the variable as well, because you don't know how many more peak JT Miller seasons you have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced that it'll convince him to take a discount just because, no one has insight on the situation, right? I think, again, if they go on a long playoff run, that is the number one thing that I think will convince him to take a discount, right? It's not necessarily Miller outscored him. He's only making $8 million. These guys are at different ages, different spots in their careers. I do think the only thing that's really going to convince Patterson to take a discount, if he does want to stay, is the fact that they need to go on a long playoff run. So let's talk about more Patterson contracts up on the other side. Maybe I won't touch on what a potential trade would look like. And I do want to talk quickly about the game against the Bruins because we can't just gloss over it. It was the best game of the season, arguably the best moment of the season. Let's get to all of that on the other side. I'm going to touch on one rumor as well. But before we do any of that, I got to shout out Camino Consulting. Our sponsor once again today is Camino Consulting. You've heard of our online families and couples course and taken advantage of the Locked On 25% discount running to the end of the month. But what about live seminars? In both sport and business, the challenge in differentiating candidates and recruiters is an endless battle. Everyone can demonstrate their measurables and qualifications, but we all know it is the intangibles that matter most when those things are similar. Kyle, what's your biggest intangible, or maybe a party trick might be a better question?
My party trick, my greatest party trick. I don't know. I think I'm becoming a better DJ. So maybe playing music.
All right. That's not bad. I can belly dance. So I'll belly dance to your music.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
Man. Hey, whether you're belly dancing, DJing, whatever you got, go make sure you contact Camino Consulting for their team and management seminars to get a peek behind the curtain and watch your next recruiting class or hiring group become one of the most effective you've ever seen. Both because you identified the right candidates and because you've learned how to communicate and motivate them in accord with their own preferences. But you aren't in business management or working with the team? Guess what? They pay referrals. Make some money in your workplace and favorite teams better. Every group works together better at the end of the year, more so than in week one. So contact Camino Consulting at caminoconsulting.ca and get on the fast track to understanding.
Man, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight in Vancouver, all my real fans.
Okay, we back on this episode of Locked On Canucks. One love to Camino, man, doing their thing for us. And one love to the Don't Doze Art Lab, man, supplying that West Coast bias year in and year out, day in and day out for the people like you and you, and you and you, and you and you. And man, we got a lot of West Coast bias for Elias Pettersson, man. Okay, I got to still talk about it. I'm passionate about Patterson. Bro, there's some comments right now talking about how he may be a diva or something. Look at Callum Sandu, okay? Embrace the hard truth. Alvin and Rutherford are not risking sinking this ship for one prima donna. Dude, what has Patterson done that tells you that he's a prima donna, or that he's being selfish? Like, he's been pretty clear with his intentions this season, and I think it's more than fair for a really good player, like one of the best players in hockey, who can still get a lot better, to be patient with this team. Again, it's only March. We've had a lot of success, but it's only March, and it's a one-time thing. This version of the Canucks, this is not part of the Vancouver Canucks culture yet. You can't be convinced. The only thing that can convince him is a long playoff run, which we've been talking about since the summer. And now I got to mention this. The fans, man. You want Patterson to stay? Obviously the team's got to be successful, but we got to be louder than ever, man. We got to give this guy goosebumps.
100%. And, we see this in big major sports too. Like, I think a lot about, I'm not even a huge baseball guy, but I think a lot about Aaron Judge when I think about Elias Pettersson. Aaron Judge was stressing everyone out in New York. And again, we're talking the New York freaking Yankees, right? This is as important the Vancouver Canucks is on the grand sports scale. The Yankees are one of the biggest organizations in sports. Aaron Judge didn't want to resign until the end of the season. Everyone in that market was freaking out. He went about like breaking home run records or whatever he was doing over in New York, and ended up signing a big mega monster contract, right? Like, I see the same script for Elias Pettersson, and I bet Elias Pettersson knows Aaron Judge's name. And I think that could be something that's motivation for the guy too.
For sure.
He's having a great season. Maybe he scores a playoff overtime winning goal. Maybe he scores a couple of bangos on home ice in the playoffs. And when you score those big goals in the playoffs, like from being on any sports team, Kyle, that builds a camaraderie with your brothers, right? The Canucks go through a playoff series and he has a big goal, or maybe he sets up someone for a big goal. It's just only going to help with the camaraderie in that room. So yeah, let's cheer on Patterson, like you said, buddy.
And I think we should be looking forward to a guy that doesn't have a contract yet to, want to maximize that type of deal. And how does he do that? He plays at his best. And right now, Patterson is not playing like a $12 to $13 million player, and he may want to be up there, for status or just, whatever. It's his life. It's his money. The fact that he hasn't signed that deal yet, maybe the Canucks can lean into that, and squeeze even more out of Patterson for real. Like, have a more motivated player in your lineup during a deep playoff run. I don't think it's a bad card to play. And Alvin and Rutherford and Tocchet as well. Again, I guarantee they want to get this deal done ASAP, but I don't feel as if they're panicking at all. And they've also looked at that as well. You know what? They're like, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing that he hasn't signed yet, because now he's even more motivated when we need him to be the most motivated, and that's in the playoffs. It's all good. Anyways, any more questions regarding Patterson, man? Like, come on, man. Elias Pettersson is staying in Vancouver. I don't know if it's an 8-year deal anymore. I was praying for that for months and months and months. I could definitely see this thing being a 3 to 4 year deal now, a shorter term deal. But I think, again, based on the fact that the Vancouver Canucks have installed this leadership, they got some great pedigree in all positions at the front office. And again, they have a bunch of star players. I just feel as if for the next couple of years, I don't know where else he'd want to play. Straight up.
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be a better fit out there, to be honest. Like, sure, maybe one organization's going to pay him like Austin Matthews money, but in terms of the fit, look, this guy is got a guy in Miller as well, who can kind of be like the Batman to Robin or whatever you want to call it, right? The Canucks got two of the best centers in the league on their team. Like, that is how you build a Stanley Cup contender. I guess two of my only other questions for Pettersson in terms of re-signing are, who is his favorite lineman right now? And maybe even on top of that, who's his favorite teammate? I think Brock Besser comes to mind as favorite teammate, but lineman, I think Höglander is the friendship, but I'm not sure about either of those.
I think, well, again, there's a big reason why Patterson isn't really that consistent right now too, because there's still so much of a revolving door around his line mates, even positionally speaking, like he's been a winger slash center over the last couple of weeks. It's different, man. Who his best line mate slash teammate? I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that. I think it could be Phil Kessel, man, to be honest. That would be the most ironic thing ever if Kessel saves the day and elevates Pettersson's 5-on-5 play to get back to where he was in the beginning of the season. And man, I'm just getting choked at the comments, man. I'm looking at another comment right here. I know this is Harpoon, man. This guy's got 4 different accounts going on the chat right now. Bro, get a life, man. This guy's saying Pettersson is not a center. Bro, come on, bro. People are just, I think it goes back to what you said earlier, right? About how the expectations are through the roof right now. And for whatever reason, in game 60, people are in need of perfection, right? From all their guys. And to me, it's like, it's not that. Now, will I expect that in the playoffs? For sure, because you gotta have your star players going. But I think I'm more at peace with the way Patterson's playing right now because I think he's gonna turn it around. And I think the guy who, correct me if I'm wrong, was the best player for the Canucks in the bubble, was the best player for his Sweden team when he was winning a championship with them. I think this guy gets it done in the playoffs. Again, I fully promise myself / promise you that Pettersson's an ultimate playoff type of performer. Guaranteed. I don't even have a question there, but hey, go away, Bex.
Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are gonna, feel the same way once Patterson gets in the playoffs. It's memory can be short, right? It's been almost 4 years since we saw this guy play in the playoffs, but he was a machine at 21 years old at the time. It was unbelievable stuff. Now I saw questions too about like who are the trade targets for you trade Patterson. I don't even want to go down the road because it's going to be multiple first round picks, and yeah, whatever player you get back is going to be not as good as Elias Pettersson because he is one of the best players in the NHL.
Can you do me a favor though? Can you speak some clarity to the people in regards to people thinking that if they don't trade him at the deadline, they're going to get less in the offseason? I don't agree with that. I actually don't agree with that. I think it's pretty similar.
It's going to be the same because at the end of the day, you're trading for someone who's unsigned, right? The Canucks start signing Pettersson and trading him. So you're trading for someone who's unsigned. Look, it doesn't really matter to me what Pettersson does over the next couple of months. He's established himself as a point-per-game player in the NHL, one of the best players in the NHL. Again, we've been talking about this guy being in the MVP conversation, okay? So yeah, it doesn't really matter. He's going to get, if he were to get traded, his value's not going to be less in the summer. It's going to be dependent on, that team obviously being able to re-sign Pettersson, right? Maybe if the Canucks are trading him just for his rights, right, they're going to get the full-blown package for him. So yeah, it's not going to make a difference now or at the deadline.
It's not going to make any difference, man. Come on, guys. Unreal. Anyways, again, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs, just, going through the motions, having Pettersson's back. It's all good. I think Pettersson's staying. I think it's going to be a shorter-term deal. I did get scared about Rick Dhaliwal not being confident that a deal is going to get done now. Like, I think he kind of alluded to that. It's kind of weird. All that being said, bro, Pettersson's made it clear that this thing is not going to be nowhere close to getting done until the offseason. And honestly, I'm okay with that, man. And you let's say I don't want to be just Team Petey and I want to go back to just being Team Canucks, which I've been pretty much since October, November, when my goals have changed for this team. Because before wanting the cup, it was literally just wanting an 8-year deal for Pettersson. We still got to see, man. Like, how we're assuming that he's going to do great in the playoffs? Bro, he's been there once in the NHL. Let's see it, And maybe that's why I'm a little bit more patient with this contract now, because I think it's going to get done. I don't know what the number is. And if you want the number to be in the 12s or 13s, and if it ever gets there, that means that Pettersson was rock solid in the playoffs. And it's okay if the Canucks are patient here.
Yeah, exactly. No need to stress, Canucks Nation, unless you want Pettersson gone. And at that point, you got other problems anyways. Let's wrap up the show on the other side. I got one latest rumor about the Canucks and the player they might be targeting. I'll give a hint if anyone knows, but he's actually appeared on a Locked On show with our friends over at Locked On Wild. And also maybe we'll touch quickly on the Canucks Bruins game last night, because again, best game of the season. Before we wrap up the show, I got to shout out Sleeper. All right, Canucks fans, we're in the stretch drive and the Canucks are still the best team in the NHL. Hey, you know what? If you want to be the best, just like the Canucks, make sure you try to go be the best playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is my number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you have to do is pick whether studs like JT Miller, Brock Besser, or Elias Pettersson will record more or less than their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win a 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Canucks fans. You could win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper terms of use for details and locational availability.
Okay, we back here on Locked On Canucks. My name is Kyle Bowen. That guy right there is the Mikeless Trevor Beggs. But again, man, playing injured, man. And you know, providing some calmness for myself and maybe some of the fans. Man, oh man, we're first place, man. Can we just focus on the Stanley Cup? Can we just focus on that? It's all good. It is what it is. I think even though Patterson kind of asked for this because he thought he could be friends with Elliotte Friedman, I think he's also deserved some more peace, you know? Like, we don't, like, I hope, you know what? I hope this guy's not on his phone. I hope he's, like, following JT Miller's lead. I hope he's gotten closer with JT this year, man. JT's the man, dude. He's the alpha. He really is. Now, before we get into JT's alpha performance against Boston, I got to remind the people again, we're giving away Canucks tickets. All you have to do is be subscribed to the show, and you also have to be subscribed to the Discord, okay? The link is in the bio. Try to use the same name as you do for your YouTube account for the Discord, and join our Canucks Discord, and we'll just be talking about Canucks all day, every minute on that Discord, because I could literally be posting there when I'm on the toilet. All in all, though, do both those things. You qualify to enter the draw, and I think we're going to what's the calendar looking like? What's the calendar looking like in March? Okay, let's look at this. Boom, bam. I'm trying to use this. Okay, March. So March 25th is the game. That's a Monday against the Kings. We'll unveil the winner on Friday, March 22nd, okay? So again, do both those things, link in the bio, and win 2 tickets to watch the Kings at Rogers Arena face off against your Canucks, who are led by Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, okay? For real. Trevor, be honest with yourself, okay? Was that the best performance you've seen from a Vancouver Canuck player in a meaningful game in a decade plus?
Yeah, you know what? I wanted to say it was the best one of the decade, but like the playoffs still did happen in 2020. I know they were in a bubble, but like, okay, I thought about it. I'm like, it's easy to discount the bubble playoffs, but the Canucks don't go through that. Then they haven't made the playoffs since 2015, like for real. So, I mean, the bubble playoffs matter. There were some big wins there, some big games there. But aside from that, man, this was the most impressive win in a long time, at least in, the last 4 years, I'd say. And, you talk about the Canucks going through this losing streak, longest losing streak of the season, blah, blah, blah. But it hasn't mattered because they've been, playing fantastic hockey overall. But that win against Boston meant something. Again, it always means a little bit extra against Boston. But for them to fall behind despite playing well, to be trailing in the third despite peppering Swayman, and then to come back with 2 goals within the last 7 minutes, 7 minutes and change, that win, it felt incredibly good. You could see the vibes on the bench. Like, guys were hugging each other. They were loving it. The vibes in the building looked phenomenal. It was the best win of the season for a number of reasons. And again, JT Miller, just 3 assists, 8 hits, a couple of hits on Marchand, absolutely leading the charge. And for him to step up again, Patterson's been not as sharp as right now, I think it meant a lot for this hockey team. And, going forward, between Miller, Demko, Patterson, and Hughes, the Canucks have 4 MVP candidates. We've talked about it, okay? And if you have one of those guys going, I mean, more often than not, at least one of those guys is going. And, the Canucks get all 4 of those guys going during playoff time. To me, they would sound like a favorite if that happens, but unrealistic to expect on a nightly basis.
No, straight up. And just one of those performances, man, from JT Miller. I think he literally willed this team to just stay in the fight. by throwing the body and being engaged. And I know the first 2 periods weren't really sexy, and I mentioned this many times on yesterday's conversation about the game. Just seeing JT do that, it seemed very, like, football-like, you know? Like, how can you not go in the dressing room after the second intermission and look at your point scoring leader and be like, "Holy crap, this guy really cares. This guy really cares, man. It's a February game, and this guy's laying it all on the line. Let's go win this 3rd period." And man, oh man, I'm gonna bring it up again, man, because I feel like it will make a little bit of sense. Maybe their friendship can get stronger through performance, through a long playoff run. But if JT Miller has 10 more points than Elias Pettersson by the time this is all said and done, even during the playoffs, because JT Miller's on one right now, I do think that Alvin and Rutherford are going to bring that to the table when they're negotiating with Patterson, and just see if there can be a way to squeeze some savings in this new deal, because leaning into JT potentially only having 1 or 2 more seasons like this, I think he'll be a great player. I think he'll, like, transition at putting up, like, Joe Pavelski like numbers. But right now he's a 100-point guy. Like, that's who he is. Okay, that's who JT Miller is. He went from 99 points, and then last year with Boudreaux, he kind of struggled. But post Tocchet, he was back on that pace, and look what he's doing now. This version of JT Miller, and I think he's going to be this version next year too, he's a 100-point player. Bro, this team, if they keep Patterson, is going to be stacked for some time, because your 1-2 punch down the middle is, bro, it's beautiful. It's the best in franchise history.
Yeah, JT Miller right now on pace for his first 40-goal season. He's on pace for 40 goals and 108 points. Just an unbelievable player. Look, again, he's been one of the best players in the NHL this season. I've said that he's been the team MVP at some points, but I think Quinn Hughes has kind of wrestled that away from him. I mean, Quinn Hughes has been pretty damn remarkable himself. All these Canucks players are better than the guy who they're interested in acquiring, but I just wanted to touch on one report today. The Canucks are reportedly very interested in acquiring Minnesota Wild forward Brandon Duhaime. Really, fourth liner who likes to hit, scraps a bit. He's got some speed, can kill some penalties. Nothing too sexy there, but he's only got a contract with $1.1 million, so can be buried in the minors. And guess what? He's appeared on the Locked On Wild show twice. So this is an NHL player who knows the Locked On network. So hey, the Canucks acquire him. Let's see if he can make it 3 times coming on a Locked On podcast.
Wow, dude. No, we're trying to get Patterson on, man. We're trying to get Patterson
that
on
too,
the program, okay? We got to ask him these questions, man. Keep him around in Vancouver and make him happy. Just like, I would ask this guy, what's his favorite restaurant in the city, okay? Can we get a burger named after Patterson? Okay, so what would be in the Patterson burger? What do you think? It would be a meatball. It would be like a meatball burger, like 6 meatballs instead of a patty. But
this guy's healthy, man. I think he's having like a salmon burger, to be honest. I think he's a pretty healthy guy. Maybe some some fancy pickled beets on there. Like some feta. I see
Whoa.
Some of that going on for Pettersson. Yeah.
Wow. Anyways, man, one love to Elias Pettersson, man. I trust this guy. He's going to get it done. I trust that. Again, you know what? We spent so much time talking about the contract. Again, I'm going to end it on this note. I really don't give a beep about the contract right now. Like, the Canucks are winning games. The focus from my end is somewhere else. And when it comes to anything Elias Pettersson related, I'm just daydreaming about his effectiveness in the playoffs. And I think he's going to execute. And I think he's going to be that baller that we saw in the bubble and who we've seen in the past when he was a younger player in Sweden. This guy gets the job done when the most pressure is on the line. And maybe this guy's just a little bored of regular season games right now.
Hey, maybe it is. We're still in the dog days of the season, getting out of it. March will be the stretch drive for sure. So
can I ask you one more question?
Soon. Yeah.
One more question before we get out of here, okay? Because I did say something. I'm like, oh, this is the best 1-2 punch in franchise history. Bro, Kessler and Henrik Sedin in 2011, in 2010 even. Bro, come on. Those guys were lethal. But there's something that tells me that these two are on a different level. Because I'm looking at the fact that both of them could be 100-point players on separate lines for the majority of the season. That's something else, man. This is the season. This is the time. And I just said I wasn't going to mention the contract thing, but man, Pettersson, it's not going to get better than this. It really isn't. It just won't, unless the Canucks trade you to Las Vegas, which they won't. Anyways, Begsy, sign us out. Oh, no, never mind. Okay, again, link in bio, Discord. Join the contest. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, just follow us on that podcast platform. Leave us a review. And then, you have to follow the Discord to qualify for the contest. Again, the game is on March the 25th against the LA Kings. We'll unveil the winner on March the 22nd. Boom, bam. Let's send somebody to a game with their partner or their friend or their dog. Maybe this seat is one of those seats that allows you to bring your dog. You never know.
Oh, man. To answer your question quickly, I'm still choosing Henrik and Kessler over Pettersson and Miller for now. 2011 Henrik and Kessler. But I want to be proven wrong, baby. Oh, boy, do I badly want to be proven wrong. Let's go. We're going to find out soon as playoff hockey for your Vancouver Canucks is in the near future, baby. So shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first-time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who joined us on the live YouTube show. We love each and every one of you, your families, and your dogs, too. And, hey, I love reading your comments, man. You guys are freaking hilarious back there. Some of you are wackos, but you're hilarious. Coming up this week, we're going to talk some more trade stuff about the Canucks because, we're getting closer to that deadline. A couple of games coming up this week. Sidney Crosby, the LA Kings coming to town. Maybe we'll even talk one more time about Jake Gensel, okay? But for now, I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bowen, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
Peace, peace, peace. Go Canucks, go. One love.